I asked ChatGPT to rank the 10 greatest World Cup players in history, factoring in everything through the completed 2026 tournament in North America. Everyone has an opinion on this, so let's see what the AI actually thinks now that the record books have just been rewritten. Starting at number 10, ChatGPT picked Cafu. No outfield player has ever appeared in 3 straight World Cup finals. Cafu did it in 1994, 1998 and 2002, winning 2 of them as Brazil's right-back and eventual captain. He wasn't a big scorer. He was a guy who never missed the biggest stage, tournament after tournament for a decade straight. ChatGPT's logic here is simple. That kind of consistency across 3 separate finals is a record nobody else on this list can touch. At number 9 is Miroslav Klose. For nearly 2 decades, Klose held the record for most goals in World Cup history, 16 of them across 4 tournaments, and he lifted the trophy himself in 2014 with Germany. That record only fell this past summer at the 2026 World Cup, when 2 other players finally passed him. Even so, ChatGPT ranked him above Cafu because for the majority of World Cup history, Klose was simply the most prolific goalscorer the tournament had ever produced, and a World Cup winner's medal to go with it. Number 8, and the fame jumps sharply, Garrincha. Alongside Pelé, he won back-to-back World Cups in 1958 and 1962, and in 62, with Pelé injured for most of the tournament, Garrincha essentially carried Brazil by himself, finishing as both top scorer and best player of the competition. ChatGPT's reasoning is that in 1962, this wasn't a supporting role, it was total control of a tournament on his own. That's why he sits above Klose, whose brilliance was built on numbers, while Garrincha's was built on moments nobody has forgotten since. At number 7, ChatGPT went with Franz Beckenbauer. 2 World Cup finals as captain, winning it in 1974, and he essentially redefined the sweeper position while doing it. Decades later, he won the World Cup again as a manager, becoming one of the few men in history to lift the trophy both as a player and as a coach. ChatGPT's verdict was that no player has shaped how football is actually played at a World Cup more than Beckenbauer did, and that's why he edges out Garrincha, whose genius, brilliant as it was, stayed purely individual. Now at number 6, and this is where the ranking gets rewritten in real time, Kylian Mbappe. As of this summer, Mbappe is officially the all-time leading goalscorer in men's World Cup history, 22 goals across 3 tournaments, 2018, 2022 and 2026. He's also the only player ever to win the Golden Boot twice, doing it again in 2026 with 10 goals, including the goals that took him past the previous record. France didn't make the final this time, losing to Spain in the semis before beating England in the 3rd-place match, so a 2nd World Cup title is still missing from his resume. But ChatGPT placed him above Beckenbauer purely on scoring history. Nobody has ever put more goals into a World Cup than Kylian Mbappe. We're at number 5 now, and this is where it gets serious. Zinedine Zidane. 2 goals in the 1998 final to win the World Cup outright, and then in 2006, at 34 years old, he dragged France to another final almost single-handedly, scoring even in the last match of his career. ChatGPT ranked him above Mbappe for one reason. Zidane didn't just put up numbers, he controlled finals, bending the biggest games in World Cup history around his own rhythm. That's a different kind of greatness than a scoring record, and it's enough to lift him a full spot higher. Number 4, and this is the last name before the podium, so pay attention because the gap from here upward is enormous. Ronaldo Nazario, 2 World Cups won, the trophy in 1994 as a teenager on the squad, and then the redemption story of 2002, where he scored 8 goals, including both in the final, after the heartbreak of 1998. ChatGPT placed him above Zidane for combining elite scoring numbers with 2 titles, but he's still only 4th, which tells you exactly how high the bar gets from here, because now we've reached the top 3. And ChatGPT was clear that these 3 aren't just better than everyone else on this list, they exist in a completely different category. At number 3, Diego Maradona, 1986. 5 goals, 5 assists, virtually every meaningful moment of that tournament running through him personally, including 2 goals against England still argued about today. He also dragged Argentina to the final again in 1990, almost entirely on his own. ChatGPT's reasoning is blunt. No player has ever controlled an entire World Cup from start to finish the way Maradona did in '86. That's the bar for 3rd place on this list. Number 2, and this one closes an era. Lionel Messi. For most of his career, the World Cup was the one thing missing. But in 2022, he finally won it. 7 goals, Tika, Player of the match 5 separate times, dragging Argentina to the title. This past summer, at his 6th and final World Cup, Messi helped Argentina reach the 2026 final once more. But this time Spain shut them down, winning 1-0 in extra time with Messi held scoreless. He finished his World Cup career with 21 goals, 2nd all-time behind only Mbappe. ChatGPT ranked him this high because that 2022 triumph closed every argument that could ever be made against him. So why isn't he first? Because there's one player ChatGPT says did what Messi did, except 3 times, and single-handedly turned the World Cup into the biggest event in sports. And that brings us to number 1, the greatest World Cup player of all time, according to ChatGPT, Pelé. 3 World Cups won, still the only player in history to do it. A World Cup final goal at 17 years old, still the youngest ever. Over 1,200 career goals and some of the greatest goal involvement numbers the tournament has ever produced, spread across 3 completely different eras of football. ChatGPT's verdict was almost unanimous in its certainty. Pelé isn't just the best World Cup player ever, he's the reason the World Cup became the biggest stage in sports in the first place. So there it is, ChatGPT's top 10 World Cup players of all time, now updated through the 2026 tournament from Cafu all the way to Pelé at number 1. Do you agree with this ranking? Now that Mbappe holds the all-time scoring record and Messi's World Cup story is finally complete? Drop your own top 3 below. I want to see if the AI actually got this right.